you see the text come through. The dinner, the party, the meetup, it's canceled. Immediately, your heart rate drops, your shoulders slump, and a massive physical wave of relief washes over you. But what drove that reaction? You might be protecting your peace, or you might be hiding from a fear that has become too heavy to carry. Pop psychology memes often treat needing a quiet night in and suffering from an anxiety disorder as interchangeable experiences. They blur the lines until the two states look identical. This makes it easy to use introversion as a shield. It allows real psychological distress to hide behind a personality trait, making the underlying problem harder to address. Identifying the actual source of this social exhaustion dictates how you handle it. Misinterpreting why you're staying home can lead to chronic isolation if the root cause remains unaddressed. This diagram plots two axes: social energy drain and fear of judgment. Introversion occupies the bottom left, high energy cost but low fear of evaluation. Social anxiety sits top left, high energy cost, propelled by a high fear of how others judge you. Treating an introvert as if they have a disorder leads to unnecessary social performance. Forcing someone to extrovert when they simply need to recharge leads to burnout. Conversely, viewing clinical anxiety as a personality trait allows your world to shrink. You might find yourself retreating from society because you've normalized a fear response. We can separate these two states by looking at their internal functions. Once you see how these systems operate, you can decide where to best focus your energy. Introversion functions as a biological energy management system. It describes how you process the world, not whether you like the people in it. Many introverts are highly charismatic and thrive in large groups. They often find genuine joy in being the center of attention or spending hours catching up with friends. Regardless of the enjoyment level, the act of socializing depletes their battery. The more people involved and the longer the interaction, the faster the meter drops toward zero. This system requires a specific trade-off: solitude. To maintain their performance at work or at home, introverts must carve out time to be completely alone. This need for rest can create friction. Friends or partners might see a request for space as a personal rejection, even when the introvert just needs to reset. These withdrawals signal a capacity limit. The person is following a biological need to recharge, rather than responding to a fear-based impulse to escape. For the introvert, leaving a party early is a strategic decision. They are choosing to preserve their capacity for future tasks instead of avoiding a perceived danger. Social anxiety functions as a threat avoidance system. It operates independently of your energy levels. The root causes are distinct. Introversion is driven by energy drain, while social anxiety is fueled by fear of evaluation. At a social event, an introvert monitors their internal battery. A person with social anxiety monitors the room, scanning for signs of judgment or embarrassment. The anxious brain perceives casual interactions as high-stakes environments. Every conversation carries the threat of saying the wrong thing or being viewed negatively by others. Canceling plans provides an immediate reward. It removes the threat of embarrassment and creates an instant sense of safety. This avoidance creates a long-term penalty. Each time you stay home to feel safe, you reinforce the idea that social settings are dangerous, making the fear harder to overcome next time. Even though both groups end up at home, their motivations differ. Social anxiety seeks safety from a perceived threat, whereas introversion seeks recovery from a known cost. Revisit the moment that social obligation is canceled. The plans are off, and you are officially free. In that first second, both the introvert and the anxious person feel the same rush of relief. It feels like a weight has been lifted. To understand your own motives, ignore that initial rush. Let 10 minutes pass and observe the emotions that follow the relief. If that relief transitions into a sense of peace and you feel ready to engage with the world tomorrow, you are likely managing your energy. You've simply regained your time. If that relief is quickly replaced by shame, guilt, or a sense of failure, you are likely witnessing a fear response. The relief came from escaping a threat, not from gaining rest. Using this post-cancellation data clarifies why you stayed home. It cuts through the confusion to show whether you are recharging or retreating. Often, these two states exist at the same time. This is known as comorbidity, the reality that you can be both an introvert and someone who struggles with social anxiety. A naturally low social battery can lead to a fear of judgment. If you are constantly drained, you might start worrying about how your exhaustion is being perceived by others. This makes the diagnosis harder. You have to distinguish between a healthy need for solitude and the paralyzing fear that tells you to stay hidden. Managing this requires two different approaches. You must defend your energy boundaries while simultaneously challenging the avoidance patterns created by anxiety. Accepting your introverted nature should not lead to accepting the limitations of an anxiety disorder. You can honor your need for rest without letting fear dictate your social life. Look at how your audit results translate into your next steps. Those who feel peaceful after a cancellation should focus on the left path. Your focus should be on boundary setting. When you stop viewing your need for rest as a flaw, you can communicate your limits clearly and enjoy your solitude without guilt. If you frequently feel shame or guilt after the initial relief, your path is on the right. This requires addressing the anxiety directly. Using the introvert label here only delays progress. Real change comes from clinical support and gradual exposure to the situations you've been avoiding. By identifying your true experience, you can stop fighting against your nature. You can apply the specific tools needed to manage your battery and face your fears.